All right, so much going on this week. It's actually unbelievable that I would think that the Labor Day Classic is kind of a prelude to the rest of the week, which involves going back to school and all that fun stuff. And my wife's a teacher, so it's full on and
Hmm.
staggered start. And it kind of feels like deja vu a bit, Zach. I have Zach Shisher here from Bonfire Sports Winnipeg. I think we did this last year before the Banjo Bowl. So again, I hate to go off from routine, and it's awesome to have you on. It's great, and I was just talking about how my wife kind of rearranged the studio here, and backgrounds and that sort of thing. And you were saying that your wife did your background, so that's amazing.
Yes, we're very lucky to have wives who take care of us in various ways. I would be probably naked and half dead in a ditch if it wasn't for her. So this was my birthday present for her to set up my studio. This was actually our old laundry room in the basement, and we changed things around in our house. So
Yeah,
now it's
yeah.
my studio. So I'm very happy. It's a
Nice.
nice little spot.
Nice. And that's good, right? And I know at our old house we changed a storage room into a bedroom so we get an extra hockey player live with us during the hockey season. So
Oh,
you got
really?
to do what you got to do.
That's cool. Yeah. So I guess this is good luck that we record on Banjo or before Banjo Bowl,
It is. The only
right?
difference is last year they won and this year was a bit of a well, it was a loss. It was kind of the one of these losses where I listened to the post game, you and Darren. It came down to both. I would say 3 to 4 plays.
Yep. I think that's fair. I mean, anytime you have essentially a 2 point game, when many of the stats are pretty identical, right?
Mhm.
Uh, Net offense was pretty similar. They were tied in turnovers, pretty close in time of possession. Saskatchewan had a lot more penalty yards, but other than that, it was a close game.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think you're bang on, Steve. I think it always comes down to 3 or 4 plays. I'm sure there's ones that stuck out to you just as much as there were ones that stuck out to me.
hmm Yeah, and I get when they go up 7-0, it's great, right? And then they get that turnover, you're like, okay, well, I can handle Trevor being in there on first down, but second down, I'm not sure what you're trying to do here. Like,
Yeah.
am I watching an episode on NFL Network like at 2 o'clock in the morning? How they're trying to design this? Like, you kind of outsmart yourselves. Again, I've never coached football, but just from the outside looking in.
I think that there's a lot of controversy on that series. I
hmm
think that's very apropos, and I honestly am not sure I even love Strebler there on first down because if I'm a defense, I if I'm playing against Zach Collaros on first and goal from the 5, I don't know if they're going to run or pass, so I have to defend both,
Right.
which opens up the run game.
Exactly.
And they did go to Brady on first down. He got 3 yards, but then to keep Strebler in there again, it's not the wedge, and they try sort of this option play. They fake it to Brady. He takes it outside, and he can't get the edge anymore.
No.
Chris Trevler, whether it's age or because of his knee that was absolutely obliterated last year in the Banjo Bowl, I don't think he's the guy to be doing that. Now, if Terry Wilson came in and ran the wedge, I was looking this up the other day, Steve, because I was like, off the top of my head, it seems like Terry Wilson is getting 3, 4 yards every time on short yardage. And sure enough, his average is like 3.3 yards. Now, some of that is the 16 yards he got against Montreal. That's a bit of an outlier, but either way, I would have been much more confident if you're going to go short yardage and give that look. I think it's time to give Terry Wilson the reins there
hmm
because he seems to be more explosive and quicker than Chris Stervler, and I didn't love the play calling there, and
Yeah.
I'm guessing you didn't love it either.
No, no, I did not. I mean, it was nice to get three, but if you can get seven, which you
Yeah.
probably should have, again, it's Labor Day, so maybe O'Shea's thinking, okay, I'm going to take the points. that sort of thing. But just again, we saw Wilson in the playoff game last year have those explosive plays. I think one
Yeah, in
time
the
he went
West
for 20,
Final.
25 yards. It's like,
Yeah,
okay, because once he gets out, he's kind of like, I'm not going to call him Lamar Jackson, but
he's
just remember that
fast.
he's fast, right?
Hmm.
And 6 years in football is a long time.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good point.
It
Yeah,
just is. A lot has happened in 6 years.
yeah. The yeah. I mean, and not going for it on. Curious to see what you think. So,
Mhm.
at first, I was fine with it. Like, take the points. You've gotten a big turnover. Now you're up 10-0 on the road in a hostile territory. I get that, but and maybe it's hindsight bias, but then I think, as an offense, you should be able to get 2 yards,
Yeah.
right? And then you're up 14 nothing, and it's a totally different game. Then you're really putting the pressure on the Riders. And I guess the issue I have overall, if we look sort of forensically at the whole season, is there are times when Jason Hogan has been aggressive and should have been conservative. For instance, that infamous uh, jump ball that Strevy threw in the or in the Toronto game when they were up 6 and could have gone up by 2 scores, and he gets picked off. Like, that was needlessly aggressive. They should have gone conservative there and just kicked the field goal, or
Mhm.
or just ran and kicked the field goal. And here they play conservative and kick a field goal where you could easily argue on the road, go for the jugular.
Yeah.
And then later in the game, I'm sure you'll want to talk about this one. About 40 seconds left in the second quarter, down 14-10, needing a response after the Riders have scored 2 straight touchdowns on 2 drives. They're at the Rider 35 on second and inches. And Mike O'Shea said, "Oh, it's kind of like a free play. If you don't get it, well, you can just run short yardage and get it 99% of the time."
Mhm.
Fine.
Yeah.
But you're playing against the best D line in the CFL. It's very loud. Like, you don't have the advantage of going on the snap count that you necessarily want. And he gets sacked out of shotgun for 7 yards, makes a 42-yard field goal at worst into a 50-yard field goal. And I don't care if you're Sergio Castillo, who seems to be nails from 50 plus. It's tough to hit 50-yarders for anybody, especially on the road like that with people jeering at you.
Mhm.
Loudest crowd ever at Mosaic Stadium. And it was loud.
Yep.
It wasn't as loud as Princess Auto, but it was loud. And Sergio misses it. And you could argue that those 3 points were the difference in the game because the Bombers were down 32-30, right? I
Right.
mean, it was ended up being 34-30 because of what we're calling the pick two by Devon Campbell. But really, I know a game doesn't necessarily come down to one play, but we started off by saying it can come down to 3 or 4 plays, right? I think you're
Right.
right. And that was one of the 3 or 4 that I thought really sunk the Bombers in this one.
Yeah, it definitely did, right? And again, if I even go back to even last year as Labor Day, there was the Riders fumble, then there was a recovery in the end zone, and just again the missed 57 yards. There was so much that led up to that. You're like, holy
Yeah.
smokes, right? And so again, the whole season is just, I think Labor Day kind of encapsulates what the whole season's been about. Yeah,
Well, and I think that
six
that's
is
a good
great.
example though, Steve, because, like, again, it's another example where the Bombers maybe were overly aggressive, kicking a 57-yard field goal rather than being conservative and doing maybe what most coaches would do, which would be to punt the ball. I mean, Jamison Sheehan in that game against Ottawa was having the game of his life. He was
Yeah.
kicking the living crap out of the pigskin,
Yes.
and they go for the field goal, and they have their big team on at midfield, and Pimpleton scores a touchdown, ties it up. Luckily, the Bombers were able to win on a walk off. But again, like, aggressive when you should be conservative, conservative when you should be aggressive.
Yeah, it's that's exactly it. And then Calgary too. Not their first game in Calgary, but the last one. So Sergio hits the 63 yarder. So I guess he can hit the 50 yarder.
Yeah,
And then he kicks it through the end zone. It's like, hey, like I know you got enough juice here, but it's like, hey,
yeah,
like if you pin them at the 10, maybe I think it's a
Yeah.
different outcome, right? Um,
Little mistakes, right? That end up costing
right.
this team that could easily be. I mean, they're 6-5. They easily could have won that 28-27 game they lost to Calgary on the road. They could have won that one.
Mhm.
They arguably should have maybe beaten the Riders Labor Day. You could argue it both ways. You could also say they had no business coming back in that game, being down by 2 touchdowns, and they get a fumble and a defensive pass interference to get them back in it. But it was a tight game. They could have won. I mean, this team could be 8-3. So, when you look at it, even going forward, not that we can't keep breaking down this game. I mean, are they that far off? I don't know. I could easily see them going on a run.
Yeah, I mean, last year they were 7-6 coming out of the Banjo Bowl, going into the bye, and then now we got the Riders. I think there's a bye, Ottawa, Hamilton, and
Yeah.
then it kind of continues. So again, still lots of season to be played, but the one thing they didn't do last year as compared to this year is they didn't lose a season series, which they did to
Yeah.
Calgary. So
Yeah.
go on the road to win two games to play the cup here on the 16th, or a crossover, who knows? But um, yeah, as you say, I think in a lot of ways they are right there, but I think as fans, like, we're definitely frustrated, like,
Hmm.
because but I will argue, and people that will say this too about Brady's use. The Riders are very good against the run. I mean, I guess they tried getting it, but he was second and 12, second and 13, and all of this was going on. And then, well, I guess Calaris there, he just decided to, air it out and that sort of thing. It's not like they weren't moving the ball; it was just different means.
Hmm.
Um, and to quote your buddy Darren, sometimes you got to establish the pass to open up the run.
Yeah. And that's something that's been debated over the past couple of days, and I'm still not totally sure. Steve, I'll be honest with you. Like when I think back to the Grey Cup in Vancouver, where they barely ran Brady, and the excuse was, well, they were stacking the box, meaning, they had a lot of their defensive personnel at the line of scrimmage and lined up to stop the run, shoring
Right.
up any of the gaps that Brady would have had. I was miffed. I thought, well, you know what? You're the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. You're a Brady brand bully ball team.
Mhm.
This is your MO. Like, you should be able to put in your big personnel and exert your will. And even Chris Walby, I asked him because I was like, is that because I don't know the X's and O's of football? I was like, is that an excuse not to run the ball if they're stacking the box? And he said, absolutely not. You still run the ball. And it's interesting because now my opinion is somewhat changed, and I don't know why, but I think of this Labor Day game where Brady Oliveira had 11 touches, only 5 carries for 25 yards, or was it 6 carries? Anyway, he had a 4.8 yard average or something.
That's
They
right.
ended up with 25 yards rushing. Um, Saskatchewan was stacking the box, and Saskatchewan is the best run defense in the CFL by far, right? Like, I think they have, as of week 12, when I looked at the stats, they were only allowing about something like 69 yards per game. The next best team was like 79. That's massive difference, right? But I didn't have a problem with it because, if you're stacking the box, you're opening yourself up to the deep pass or one-on-one coverage in the secondary. And sure enough, Zach Collaros throws for 3 touchdowns and 326 yards, over 70% completion percentage. You'll take it. The problem is, I think, I was talking to a guy on Facebook about this. Shout out Facebook, right? I think we forget about Facebook. I'll just do a quick digression. Like, you've got your Life with Smitty Facebook group, you've got a huge following. There's the Blue Bombers fan group. There's Bleeding Blue and Gold. There's tons of them,
There's
and they're
tons.
very active. So if you're listening to this or watching this and you're a Bombers fan, check out these different Facebook groups. But I had a really good back and forth with a guy on Facebook, and he said, well, yeah, like, you may not generate a lot of yards, but if you keep running the ball, it does many different things, including it keeps the defense honest so they can't tee off on you
Right.
all the time and just pin their ears back because they know that your offensive line is going to have to pass block.
Hmm.
And I think there's something to be said for that because Saskatchewan had 5 sacks,
Yeah.
right? And Zach looked hurried. I don't know what you thought, Steve, but it looked like Zach was hurried the entire game. So just even for that, I think it's important. I think it keeps your D lineman or your O lineman, sorry, fresh because they are the ones that are exerting their will on the O line or on the opposing D line versus pass blocking, which they're sort of more reacting. I think it can tire out a defensive line. It does all sorts of things. So it's not always about the yardage, it's about the broader context or the philosophy of running the ball. So I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here, but I think what I'm coming around to is the fact that, you know, there is a case to be made for running the ball. And you saw Saskatchewan. This is the last thing I'll say about running the ball. At the beginning of the game, they were running Ouellette, they were running Anderson, and they were getting nothing on first down, right? And that's a big reason why the Bombers were out ahead early. But then as you got into the second half, you get that those big not explosive per se, although Mario Anderson had the 26-yard touchdown. But you're getting 7-8 yards on first down, and you're wearing down that Bombers defense. And I thought that that was another difference in the game. The run games were vastly superior for the Riders. So you could argue they wore down that Bombers defense and then were able to get some big runs. And you saw the Bombers missing another issue that's come up a couple times, missing tackles, right? Like how many missed tackles were there on that Mario Anderson run that really put the boost to the Bombers. So yeah, the run game,
Yeah.
I don't know what you think, but the run game to me is a bit of a conundrum.
It is a bit, yeah. Sometimes you love it, sometimes you hate it. Even being a Chiefs fan, like years ago, they still had Kareem Hunt. They still had those guys to run, even though they had, the Tyreek Hills and all that explosion to again, keep them honest. Um, yeah, it's just, I think maybe if you give Brady 20 carries, I think everybody on social media may get the muscles out or what have you. And I think the frustration becomes that Hogan was the running backs coach, so we thought this was
Yeah.
going to elaborate into something, and everybody now thinks this is Buck Pierce 2.0.
Yeah. It's
But
it's fascinating, right?
it
I'm
is.
like you, like when Hogan was hired, I thought, okay, well, he's never been an OC at the pro level, but he is the Brady Oliveira whisperer. I mean, you remember Brady Oliveira's acceptance speech when he won the MOP. He was gushing about Jason Hogan. Remember back to 2022 when it was Oliveira and Johnny Augustine duking it out for the starting running back job after years of excellence from Andrew Harris. And there was that game, I think it was in Calgary, where Brady just, I think he had like 5 carries for 3 yards or something. And Jason Hogan like saw Brady with his head hanging down and said, "Listen, dude, just be Brady. Just do you."
Hmm.
I'm paraphrasing. But whatever it was the magic elixir. And then Brady goes off and sure enough, he's won the MOP. He's been our starter for now 22, 23, fourth year, right? So I thought, Hogan is going to utilize this guy.
Right.
And, it's been inconsistent. And I'm not exactly sure why. The only thing I can think of is he's outsmarting himself, or he doesn't want to lose credibility with the offensive meeting room, right? Because they're all thinking, "Oh, you're a Brady guy. You're just going to run Brady." And he's like, "No, I'm more than that. I'm the OC. I can do everything." And I don't know, man. Or he doesn't want to seem like he's playing favorites. I'm not sure what it is. But I do hope that they have a little bit more of a balanced attack.
Right. Do you think he's hurt? I heard his shoulder in week one.
I hear that on the TSN broadcasts, color analyst Glenn Suter keeps talking about it, and I haven't seen any evidence that he's hurt, so I don't know where that's coming from. Now maybe Suter has inside information. Of course, he'd be more connected than I would be, but I haven't seen any evidence of that. I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard anyone in our local media talk about that. Usually there's whispers, right? If it's true, where there's smoke, there's fire. But I don't know that he's injured. And If he's injured enough that you can't utilize him appropriately, how did he get 210 yards of total offense against Montreal, which is arguably the third best defense in the CFL, second best run defense? Um, yeah, so I don't put much stock in that because I haven't seen any evidence of it.
Yeah, I mean the other thing too, like we saw Peterson have that great game versus
Yeah,
BC,
yeah,
and he's kind of Cooley's been released, and I'm not sure where Peterson is to be honest with you.
yeah. I think
Uh,
he's on the PR right now. I think.
okay,
I'll quickly look it up as we're talking as I go to
yes,
bluebombers.com for the
right.
fifth time today.
So
Um, yeah,
yeah,
keep going. We'll keep going and I'll look it up while you're talking.
yeah, no problem. We have our researchers. We're all in one here.
Yes.
It's good. How do you kind of see the game this week kind of play out? Last year it was that 26-21 win with an interception at the end, and the place was going bananas. It was,
Hmm.
and again, everywhere I was just thrilled. We were 7-6
Yeah.
after the start, uh, and usually this game does turn in the Bombers' favor, and because of the home field advantage and that sort of thing. And
Yeah.
I would definitely say that this is a must win. Most people say to me, "Well, Steve, it's only week 4. Why is it a must win?" Do you understand? Like, people need to understand that football is like in the NFL, it's 17 games, and even in the CFL, 19 league, it's 18 games. This isn't baseball, right? Now the Jays, it's every game as a must win. But
Yeah, if they want to win the AL, right?
if they want to win the AL,
Yeah, yeah. Big win today, I think, in extra innings over the Reds.
13-9 in the
Yeah.
ninth, but they're down 5-1. Uh,
Yeah, so
they're
Matthew
down 5.
Peterson, just for folks
Yes,
wanting to know, he is in fact on the practice squad.
he is. Okay.
But yeah, like thinking about this, I think you're right. Like the Bombers have easily have a winning record in the Banjo Bowl. We've got the home crowd. We do have the loudest stadium in the CFL. Whether that's because of how raucous our fans are or because of the way it's engineered, it is louder.
Yeah.
Credit again, Mosaic. It was loud, Steve. Like it was deafening. But I do think Princess Auto is louder. So you have that, right? Now you don't have to deal with the crowd noise when you're on offense. Listen, I think that there a few things have to happen for the Bombers to win this game. One is they have to deal with the pressure from Saskatchewan. You just can't allow 5 sacks and expect to win a game.
Yeah.
So whether that means sticking with the run game even more, like being really patient, even if it's not yielding dividends early, knowing that Brady Oliveira, he talks about this openly. He's a guy that the more touches he gets, the better he gets.
Hmm.
So I do think you have to some extent stick with the run, even if it's not yielding much results. The other thing is I like, I don't know what you thought, but I thought I I think it's arguable that Zach Collaros is one of the best, if not the best thrower on the run in the CFL. I've seen him wing a ball 50 yards when he hasn't even had his legs set. He'll just and with accuracy, right?
Yeah.
And that's another way to beat the pass rush is, get him bootleg, get him outside the pocket, get him rolling, right? And the Bomber receivers have been really good at adjusting their routes when they see Zach is broken out of the pocket. Get Zach running a little bit. Defenses never expect it, and he'll break off. I mean, you saw against Ottawa in that game winning drive, that 17-yard run. So I think you need to get creative with Zach. I think Zach is their best player. I know Brady Oliveira won the MLB. I think Zach Collaros is their best player, even though I think he's kind of losing a bit of arm strength, but we can get into that another time. So get creative there. I think, play calling, be aggressive when it makes sense to be aggressive, but and be conservative when it makes sense to be conservative. I'd like to see Terry Wilson get in on short yardage. I know Strevler's the guy, but I just think he's not getting it done on short yardage. You've seen that a few games in a row. I think they, you know, I was telling Connor Rabchak, we do a weekly show called the Winnipeg Sports Talk Bombers Report. It comes out Mondays. So check the Winnipeg Sports Talk feed on Facebook and Twitter. And I tweet it out as well. Schnitzy48, you can follow me. We were talking about that sequence of penalties the Bombers took in the I believe it was the fourth quarter where they were losing 23-17, needing a response. They get a 6-yard pass to Brady Oliveira and then a 14-yard run to Brady, his biggest run of the game, and it's called back.
Yeah.
And then, then they get a 16-yard pass to Mitchell. It's called back because of a Dembski OPI. And then they get a time count. And then, or they get a no end, and then they get a time count, and they're second and 24. They run the draw, and Brady fumbles it, right? You also had Willie Jefferson, although he defended it, and O'Shea did too, saying it wasn't Willie Jefferson who was offside. It was the Riders. Still, Willie Jefferson takes just an absolute backbreaking penalty on special teams, offside on a punt, which gives the Riders a fresh set of downs. So the Bombers are going to have to be more disciplined. The Riders have the most penalties in the league. Last week they had 110 yards of penalties. That can be the difference in a game if the Bombers stick to their usual MO, which is to be very disciplined. So I think those are some factors. I think Zach's going to have to be on point. Absolutely. They can't miss tackles like that. Maybe one or two a game. The other team's paid two. Those guys are shifty, but you can't miss tackles like that and expect to win. I think some of those are some of the keys to the game. But I'll just finish by saying I do think there's some positives to build on. I think the receivers had the best game of the year for the Bombers. If you look at what Dembski's shown, hopefully he's all right. Clercius, we're able to do. I think Clercius is a guy that
Mm-hmm.
that I'd like to see get involved more, and not just as a possession receiver, but as a deep threat. Like you saw that 51-yard catch he made, which by the way was an absolute dime by Zach Collaros. But that was an all-world catch that reminded me of a Kenny Lawler. So if you're a second Canadian receiver who plays a Z on the wide side could do things like that, I mean, you're pretty darn dangerous and tough to stop. But yeah, the last thing I want to say is I actually thought the Bombers defense outside of that explosive run by Mario Anderson, the 26-yarder, the touchdown, I thought the defense actually did really well. I mean, the secondary, which had rookies in Trey Vavel on the corner, Cam Allen at safety, second year player on the corner, Dexter Lawson Jr., who hadn't played very much from Hamilton last year. People were wondering, this Bombers team is vulnerable to the explosive pass, the 30 plus yard passes. They've given up the second most in the CFL this season, going against the team in the Riders with Trevor Harris, who generate the most 30 plus yard passes on
Mm-hmm.
average.
Right.
And Trevor Harris comes in with a record setting completion percentage, tons of explosive plays. And sure enough, I mean, they kept Trevor Harris to 219 yards,
That ain't bad.
only one touchdown, 63% completion percentage, which is not high for Trevor Harris. Outside of that one bomb to Tommy Neal, the 69-yard touchdown, Trevor Harris didn't do a whole lot through the air. So while the Riders generated a lot in the run game to sort of balance it out, they weren't as effective with the pass. And so I think that that is a hat tip to this young secondary. Yeah, Cramdy was out. Cramdy's kind of a quarterback back there. Like he's a smart player. He understands the defense. He understands alignments and calls. And so I thought the secondary did really well. And if they could continue that, it'll be interesting. And the other thing, I don't know. Do you think Demario Houston maybe comes in? He was running with the ones at points today, according to Ed Tate in practice. So you might see Demario. Do you think you see Demario Houston?
Well, I think we do. I mean, he's been here in a couple weeks, so that would make some sense for him to come in. Again, patchwork kind of on the defense with losing Terrell Bond for the year, and credit to Jordan Younger for, tightening the screws and was released.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy was giving up more air miles than on a Safeway card. And
That's good.
uh, when these things go to social media, you gotta be careful, but you have to kind of joke, right?
Yeah, of course.
But that's why I like when you say, "Well, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything too bad." And Darren always, "Oh, so you could say it. You could say it, Zach." So it's good.
You do have to be careful though, right? Like I remember last year, this was kind of a eureka moment for me. I think when the Bombers were 2-6 or 0-4 last year, I tweeted out that, I thought the run of dominance was over. And then last year on Labor Day at Crave, where the Bombers took over the bar, someone who worked for the team, I see him, we cheers each other, we clink some beers, and he's like, "So the run is over, eh, Zach?" Like he quoted my tweet from like 4 or 5 weeks earlier, and I'm like, "Oh
Right.
crap."
Yeah.
Like these guys read what we post. I'm sure there's players that or staff that watch these videos that you put out, Steve.
Yep.
Like you do have to be careful. You don't want to hurt anyone's feelings or offend anyone, but at the same time, we can't come on this show when the Bombers are only 6-5 and third place in the West and sugarcoat it either.
No, I mean they're hosting the Grey Cup. Anthony Bennett actually told me last year at the Pro Faith Night. He goes, "I read your page every night." Okay, so I'm like,
Oh,
okay,
really?
oh yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So compliment. It's like, okay, all right, yeah. I saw Jordan Younger at the Taste of the Blue Bombers. He gives me a hug. I want him to continue to give me a hug. So
He
yeah,
gave you a hug. That's
he
awesome.
gave me a hug. It was good. For a quick pick. It was good. And I saw you there too.
That's right.
Yeah. But yes, we can't sugarcoat it, and especially in the year that the Bombers are hosting the Grey Cup, which is kind of seems to be that elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Uh, Again, '06 they were 9-9, 91 I'm not sure what the record was, but in 2015 they weren't even close.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying the hosting of the Grey Cup is 1 year too late, but again, still 6-5.
Hmm.
So again, still lots of season. Riders never
Well,
started 9-1 in their history. So for
yeah.
Hungary to beat them, and then if you look at it from half full, yeah, for them to go into Mosaic, and yes, a loss is a loss, but to only lose by 4-2,
Yep.
um, isn't terrible. And I would say that Saskatchewan hasn't even been that good. Their week 1 game versus Ottawa, they weren't good at all.
Hmm.
They were way up, and Ottawa came back to make Ottawa has to learn to win games first, but it's like,
Yeah, they're in trouble, eh?
right? But it's like, again, the margins are small, and there's fine things between winning and losing, which a lot of that we just documented here with this last game,
Absolutely.
and then years ago, stuff used to keep me up at night and whatever. And we were at my in-laws on Sunday, and I didn't say anything on the way home at all. I was just kind of replaying the plays, and then I get home,
Yeah, for
right,
sure.
right, and that's just us being a fan, right? And
Well, yeah.
it's kind of all part of it.
Yeah,
Uh,
you kind of break it down and you're like, oh, if only this had happened and if
right,
this had happened, we would have won. And
yes,
it's tough, but I think you're right. There's still lots to be football. There's still lots of football to be played. And if you're a CFL fan, you can think of probably dozens of instances where, a middling team or even a below 500 team got hot at the right time and they went on to win the Grey Cup. You look at the 2016 Ottawa Red Blacks, who were, what was it, 8-9-1, Steve? And they go and
8-9-1,
beat the juggernaut Stampeders in
right,
overtime in Toronto. You think of the team the next year, the Argonauts beat the Calgary Stampeders with a couple of crazy plays. They weren't a dominant team by any stretch. You look at the Bombers in 2019.
hmm,
They were 11-7, and they kind of got hot at the end. They figured out that defense when they put Brandon Alexander back at safety, and they were rolling. And funny thing about that, eh? So I saw Brandon Alexander at Taste of the Blue Bombers as well. So, folks, if you haven't been to this event, I'm sure Steve will agree. It's a fantastic event, not only for the food, but there's coaches and players just walking around, and the CFL. I mean, these folks are so friendly and gracious. But he told me, Brandon Alexander, he said one of the things that really motivated that Bombers team in the Grey Cup was how arrogant Hamilton was that year. And especially at the player awards, where Hamilton absolutely mopped the floor with the rest of the league. That's the year Brandon Banks won MOP. And he said they were just so full of themselves and so fat and happy winning all those awards that the Bombers played angry. And you saw that in that game, right? They just kept hitting haymakers, and Hamilton just, they just got the tar beaten out of them. So, yeah, like if Steve, if you tell me on November 17th the Bombers won the Grey Cup, I wouldn't be shocked. I'd be pleasantly surprised, but I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, they've shown that they can go toe to toe with Calgary. They only lost by a point. They only lost by 4 in Regina. You could easily see them beating the Riders. They've won the series with BC. So, in some ways, they hold destiny in their own hands in the sense that they play the Riders 2 more times
Here.
in Winnipeg, exactly
Yeah.
in Winnipeg. So if they win those games, and they're competitive and win most of their other games, they could get second. They could get a home playoff game. And even if they don't, if they peak at the right time, if maybe Jason Hogan figures things out, gets aggressive when he should, gets conservative when he should, gets Brady going more consistently, the defense gets a little bit more of a pass rush. There's no reason why this team can't compete for a Grey Cup.
Yeah, no doubt, right? I'm looking forward to having lunch with Brendan next week, so I can't wait to talk to him about some of that stuff myself.
Yeah. No, he's awesome. I love Brandon Alexander. He's a musician too. Now he's a fan ambassador with the team. Just such a likable guy, and it was such a good player. And I'd be curious to see what he thinks about Cam Allen, because Jamal Parker, I think he did all right at safety, but he wasn't a thumper. And you can see, I don't know what you think, Steve, but I see some glimpses of Cam Allen being a bit of a thumper
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
there
same vein
was.
as like a Taylor Loeffler or a BA, to have that menacing threat over the middle. You could even go back to Scott Flagel. That'll be so folks are watching back in the day. A thumper that's just gonna put the fear of whatever in you when you catch the ball over the middle.
Well, there was that play in the Ottawa game where he came
Yeah.
over. And yeah, he got flagged, and I'm like, well, that's a bang bang play. What is that
Oh yeah.
about, right? It's like, and the crowd was letting the refs know, right? It's
Oh, those flags were awful.
like
Those pass interference calls against both of them were terrible calls.
just like you got to let the guys play. Like it just
Absolutely.
drives me nuts. So
Absolutely.
yeah. Let's talk a bit as we in the last bit here.
Yeah.
Your second annual 1930 crew trip to Regina. I'm watching the game with my kids, and they're like, "Daddy, we should be there." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." 'Cause
Yes.
I wanted to make it an annual thing, and you're like, "Yeah, it's on your family's calendar to do this." How was it the second time? I saw you were on the field.
Yeah. So this was our second trip. This time we had 2 buses instead of one. Last year we just had one, and it was divided into WST. So it was the Hus bus and the Bonfire bus, or as someone in our chat on Bonfire called it, the Schnitzbomb bus. Like me and Darren bombing, and the organizers kind of ran with it because the chat got really lit up about that. So we had 2 different buses, lots of VIPs. Like Carter Chen was on Hustlers, and Dave Patrician was on there. And then the organizers were Pat Rathwell, Jeffrey Ben, and Tara Maslowski. And they just did an amazing job. And I think I would encourage people to seriously consider going on one of these bus tours, especially the 1930 crew, because you don't have to think about anything. Like you register for the trip and you pack and you bring some snacks and some drinks and you get on the bus and go, right? They take care of transportation to Regina, transportation to the hotel, transportation to dinner. They gave us a free dinner, like buffet dinner on Saturday night. Transportation back to the hotel, which is right. The hotel we were at, the Hilton, was right across from Crave, where the Bombers took over that bar,
Yeah.
which was absolutely nuts. There it was packed. There were so many Bomber fans. Like,
I saw videos.
yeah, like it was packed. It was crazy. And Wade Miller was there giving out free drinks if you're wearing your Bomber gear. There was cheerleaders there. So the town was absolutely hopping. And then the next day, the bus takes you back to a buffet breakfast, and then you go back and relax in your hotel room for a bit, and then the bus takes you to Wayne's World.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you who don't know, and I don't know if you've been to Wayne's World, Steve.
Last year
Uh,
with my kids, I had
oh,
somebody warned me. Richard warned me. If Richard,
oh yeah.
he goes, Steve, just to say, it's our tailgate with the armchairs, but just on steroids. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, so I think if you're a Bombers fan, you have to experience Wayne's World. The bus takes you to Wayne's World, and then you can walk to the stadium. And then the bus takes you back to your hotel after. I mean, it's just, and then the bus who wants to drive to Regina by themselves? Like, it's so boring. It's a 6 hour drive. So that even just the transportation itself is great. The Hilton is lovely. But Wayne's World, like, if you're a Bombers fan, you have to experience Wayne's World. It is literally a guy's backyard
Yeah.
that is filled with hundreds and hundreds of Bombers fans. Music is blaring, drinks are flowing. People are just having an amazing time. The costumes that people wear. Friends of mine went from work and they were all wearing white cowboy boots and sort of a blue skirt and cowboy hat and um, what's it called? Glitter, whatever.
Right.
There's a guy who dresses up as a chicken, and it was plus 31. So we were just boiling alive. This guy was in a yellow chicken suit. Um, and then you have Golden Boy from
Golden Boy.
Portage La Prairie, who
Yeah.
does a speech every year. He stands on top of a fence and does like this rah rah pep rally type speech. And so that was fun. And then, as you said, this year, the riders, and I don't think they quite figured out what they were doing, but on Twitter, they put out an offer for volunteers to join on the field to hold the flag.
Hmm.
And I thought, oh, that's funny. I'll sign up, and maybe they won't notice that it's a 204 number, and I'll get to go on the field in my Bombers jersey. Well, sure enough, myself and another diehard from Winnipeg, Matt Harris, and it looked like Lane Novak's family was down there too, because you saw a bunch of 48 jerseys, the Novak jerseys. He's injured right now, but he's a linebacker for the Bombers, draft pick. And we actually ended up, so we walked down to the field, and I'm just waving at all the Riders fans and jeering and cheering for the Bombers. And people in the crowd are just, the Bombers fans are going nuts, and the Riders fans are booing and trash talking. And it was incredible. But, and then Matt, who I was walking with, he's like, there was a Bombers flag and there was a Riders flag. So we were going to go to or not a Bombers flag, a Canada flag and a Riders flag. So we were going to do the Canada flag. Well, he's like, no, let's do the Riders flag, because if we go on the right side, we'll be standing right by the Bombers bench. So
Right.
sure enough, we're as the anthem's going and we're waving at the crowd, the Bombers are right there. So we got to give a high five to Zach Colaris and just quickly chat with some of the players, and that was really fun. So that was a really neat experience. And then of course there's the game itself, which is a
Right.
blast, even if your team loses. So
Right.
I would say you got to check out Labor Day. It's a really fun weekend, win or lose. And I will say this, I think Rider fans get a bad rep, and I think some Bomber fans get a bad rep from Rider fans when it comes to these rivalry games. I
Mhm.
had absolutely no problem.
Right.
I think if you're respectful, and you can trash talk in good fun, right? But I think if you're respectful, they're respectful right back. And some of them gave me high fives and said thanks for coming. I mean, I think Bombers fans were partially responsible for having the biggest crowd ever at Mosaic, over
Standing room only.
34,000. Yeah, so
2,000 more than what Princess Auto Stadium hold.
exactly.
Like
Yeah,
incredible, right?
yeah,
And yeah, when you watched it on TV, there was lots of blue going in the stands,
yeah.
no doubt. Uh, yes, I agree. I was there in 2019. Yeah, I was right by my uncle, so I was good. 2003, not so lucky. Had our sign ripped up and beer thrown on, and then
No, that's not
the,
good.
the guy gets ejected, and then people come up to me and apologize. And I'm like, well, I used to live in this province. It'll be okay.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's just one of those things where it is an event, no doubt, right? And moments like that, does that give you hope for the CFL? Like the quarter, everybody doubts the future of the CFL. Like when Labor Day happens in Regina, do you say to yourself, you know what, this league's in good hands?
absolutely. I mean, uh, and I think it goes without saying, the breadbasket of the CFL is really Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, Hamilton, maybe Ottawa to some extent. Montreal's been they've been selling out, or they've been filling up pretty well, although they need a new stadium. Yeah, I think there's markets where the gate is really good, and you look at what Amar Doman is doing out in BC, filling up that stadium. So I mean, I think things are coming around. You'd like to see more fans in Toronto, of course, but that's a whole nother show. Calgary, they need a facelift there. I mean, that stadium is a piece of crap.
And they're
uh,
hosting the Grey Cup in 2026.
yeah, I mean, that is kind of an embarrassment for the league. You look at Edmonton. Edmonton fans are great. They used to get 40,000 plus to Elks games, but because of the crappy product perennially, you've lost some fans there. But I think once they return to form, once they get good again, I think you'll see fans come back to Edmonton. Who am I missing? No. So
Ottawa, Ottawa.
Ottawa. I've been. I don't. Have you been? I've been to TD Place
I have.
Stadium. It's actually really nice. They do a really good job there. I think that's a pretty vibrant fan base. It's just they've had a losing team for so many years now, and it looks like they have one again. So, um, I think the state of the league is pretty good.
Yeah, I would like to agree, but then yeah, as you say, like with Toronto, if the fair's in town, it'll fill up. I think there was a game a few weeks ago. I'm like, holy smokes, there's lots of fans here. But when the fair's happening, they probably get free admission to the game and that sort of thing. But I was actually talking to somebody about this today at work about what the Bombers have built. This just didn't happen overnight. Like when the stadium first opened, how the heck are we going to park? How's this all going to work? With the tailgate and everything else. And yes, winning helps, but all they've done behind the scenes, we're on our 12th consecutive sellout. That is no accident. Period.
Yeah.
It is quite something.
It's incredible, Steve, and I think it's a testament to the loyalty of Bombers fans, right? Like
Mhm.
even when the Bombers sucked hard for all those years, you think back to Ryan Bold and Jim Daly and Tim Burke and Joe Mack and murderers row of coaches and personnel guys. Fans were still coming out. There was maybe not 33,000 and change, but 20, 22,000, which is pretty admirable given the product we put out. But Bombers fans, as any fans, they love a winner. And it's not only, I think it's not only the winning product, it's the culture of the team, it's the character of the individuals, it's the amount of stuff they do in the community. And I think in a lot of ways, it's Wade Miller. As Wade Miller gets things done. He knows good business practices. You see, I mean, he was at Crave shaking hands with fans that had made the trek to Regina. He goes he goes into the stands and shakes hands with fans. I mean, those things go a long way. So I think altogether, I think it's a very attractive organization to fans.
Yeah. When he's even, I think he's even quoted as saying when he first took over, he didn't actually know how bad it actually was. And
Hmm.
that's always been like, okay, right? And so, from a guy that played with the team all those years, understood the passion of this fan base. You got people driving from Brandon to come to games. I leave my house just after 5 in the afternoon after I drop off a kid's friend. I'm home by 12:30. Um,
Yeah.
you know, uh, it was funny. Summer in the City was happening here on the home opener, and the kids were like, "Yeah, we're going to be up for 7 a.m. breakfast." Well, they were up for 7 a.m. breakfast. I'm like, "Okay, all right, here we go." Right, 6 hours sleep, and they're diehards. So
That's great. It's great that you got them early. And like
yeah,
speaking of that, I know we probably got to go in a minute, but like the young people you see at Princess Auto
yeah,
is, and the young people you see at Mosaic too, right? Like not all of them are there for the game, of course. They're
right.
there to go to the rum hut and party with their friends and walk around the concourse, but they're there. There's young. This is a main attraction for young people wanting to have a good time. Whether it's a Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, what have you, they're there. And I think that's really encouraging for me, who's someone who I don't consider myself young anymore. I'm 42, right? Like I'm right in that demographic of the traditional CFL fan, right? Getting older. So it's important that we attract these younger fans. Absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt. I saw our former billet. He was actually at the Labor Day game, and and he's a Riders fan, but he texted me, "Good luck, Steve." It's like, okay, all right, and there he is. Yeah, I think he was in the what did they call it, the Pillsbury zone or whatever. I don't know.
Pilsner.
Pilsner's, yeah,
Pilsner zone,
yeah,
yeah.
the Pilsner zone. And so again, um, the young people, that's where it starts. And again, talk these things to nauseum, but again, get them at the grassroots level. There's no way my kids are giving up their season tickets. So
Oh man, the Smith family will always represent.
it's yeah, I appreciate that honestly. They want to go to a Chiefs game sooner than next year. So but yeah, we'll see. And it's more than Taylor Swift. I'll just say that right.
Is it?
It is. Although when I text my daughter, I said they got engaged. She goes, "Yay! Okay." It's one of these things. But I did hear a rumor that the Bombers are trying to get Jason Kelsey up here for Grey Cup. I heard that rumor about 12 months ago. So
Oh, really?
I'm still waiting. I would a couple things with that. I can't believe he's going to do the best man speech at Taylor Swift's wedding. Uh, Most likely. And I would love for him to reenact the Super Bowl speech of Super Bowl uh, 52 on the podcast of Late Night with Smitty. But again,
Oh, and you should get him on your show too.
well, that's the thing, right? Philadelphia, give me a yeah, it's that would be quite incredible. But we'll see where it goes. But good,
Yeah.
good. Well, this has been awesome, Zach, to have you on. We could talk all night, I'm sure, but
We could, absolutely.
because that's what sports fans, Bomber fans do, and that sort of thing. I do have Dave Naylor coming on tomorrow morning, though.
No way.
Yeah, he's. I'm going to work at 10:30 tomorrow, so I'm like, okay. He said I'm available Thursday, Friday. I'm like, okay, I can do it 8:45. So yeah, I'm gonna get him on. I'll put it on there and go from there. And yeah, I always have other ones in the works, so to speak. And yeah, we'll see
Good for you,
see
Steve.
where
I
it
mean,
goes. Thank you.
that's a big fish you landed.
It is kind of. Yeah, it's been a while. But I not that I try to one up, but at the end of the day, I just want to hear people's stories and getting to know you. We share a mutual friend and all this, and
Yeah.
it's
Shout out to Leighton.
yes to Leighton. And again, as I'm sitting in my downstairs on Saturday night. I'm thinking we were in Regina going down Albert Street 22 years ago with the windows down. I posted it on Facebook. I don't know if you read it. And we were chanting "Riders suck." Then we stop in the old Taylor Field. The lights are on, and we saw the end of the Huskies Rams game. And Leighton met
Oh yeah.
a Riders fan there for 50-year season ticket holder there. And all these things come flooding back to me during Labor Day, and that was one of them.
That's funny. Yeah, no, we could excuse me, go on and on, but
Mm,
oh, alas. But hey, anytime, man. I'll do my best to make it work.
yeah, yeah,
These kinds of things are really fun and they're
yeah.
important for growing the game. And yeah, good on you, Steve, for doing
Thank you.
these shows.
Appreciate it kindly. Awesome.
Check out
Well,
his YouTube page too. Subscribe, leave a comment.
yes, I need more subscribers. Yes, press. I appreciate the endorsement, Zach. It's
Yeah, man.
yeah.
Anytime. And hey, if you ever need help getting this on podcasts, I'll hook you up with Darren. He's the tech guy. Although
Okay.
I could probably figure it out at this point.
Well, because you had mentioned something to me, and I'm like, oh, it sounds like a plan, and well, that plan is still, and I'm like, I need to do that because I
You
said
know
to
what?
somebody, and they're like, oh, I don't know, it's on this and this. Okay, but if I get it on the other,
Yeah, if you get it on the podcast, it's a whole different way for people to consume. But I know you got kids and a full-time job and a family. It's kind of hard to carve out time to do those things, right? Like we
it is last the when I had Marvin when I had the other guy on Marvin Powell the third who played for this New Orleans Saints. I had him on yesterday. He wanted me to edit out a part, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to pay the guy at working up for a coffee because I don't know how to do. But that's how it goes. I'm trying to learn as we go here. So
Yeah, man. It's you could do it. You
yeah,
could do it.
thank you,
We'll
thank
have
you.
to figure out a time to sit down and
Yes, definitely.
we'll get you going, my man.
Okay.
But yeah, this has been fun, Steve. And hey, we'll hopefully see you at the Banjo Bowl.
Yeah, I'm bringing my son and my parents because my daughter has other commitments. So that's how it goes. But it'll be their second game. They were at the BC game last year, so
Nice.
sure it'll be fun for them. So
Yeah, yeah, it'll be great. And hopefully we come out 7-5, 2 games back of the Riders with the destiny in our own hands. If we beat them
yes,
again on October 17th, hey,
yeah,
all bets are off, buddy.
that's right. Good, good. Well, as I say, this has been great, and go Bombers! Enjoy the rest of the week, everybody. And yeah, I'll put this on my page, and then
There you go.
you go to
And
other
folks, don't forget
other
to
pages.
check out Bonfire Sports with me and Darren Bombing. We do a post game every Bombers game. It comes on pretty close to the end of the game, final whistle. Um, we have video highlights for you to check out on YouTube if you want to watch on YouTube. We have a live chat. Darren, the day before the game, Darren's on with legend Chris Walby for the pregame, and then Connor Rabchak and I from Winnipeg Sports Talk. We put out our Winnipeg Sports Talk Bombers report, which comes out Monday mornings. So check out that. Always available on YouTube and podcast. So lots of fun stuff if you don't get sick of listening to me and my Bombers takes. And yeah, man, we'll,
No,
we'll just keep rolling.
it's all good. It's good to support each other in endeavors. I'm always amazed how fast you get back to your house. I mean,
Well, it's because my father-in-law, he has he has a hard time walking. He has some mobility issues, so he has a handicap pass, and we park right beside the stadium.
nice.
So that's not the only reason I go with him. I love the guy, obviously, but it's also really convenient for doing the show because we can get out of there really fast. And the Bombers, the Bombers volunteers do a really good job of directing traffic and curbing the flow of the pedestrian traffic and getting us out of there. So yeah,
Mhm. Yeah,
yeah.
well, it's awesome. And then I always laugh when I get home at 1 o'clock. I'm like, okay, I just got home, and I remember the one, oh, I just got home, whatever. And you guys are like 2 hours in. So, but I spent time on the field after, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's good. Right on. Well, have a good night, everyone, and take care, Zach. And again, as I said there before, hope to see you there on Saturday and go Bombers.
Go blue.